Ja nazywam się Anna Grabowska i witam Państwa serdecznie w imieniu gospodarza dzisiejszego spotkania Ministerstwa Rodziny i Polityki Społecznej na międzynarodowej konferencji grupy V4 pod tytułem Koalicja dla Rodziny, zorganizowanej pod patronatem premiera Rzeczpospolitej Polskiej, pana Mateusza Morawieckiego. Witamy, panie premierze, dzień dobry. Witam również gości spotkania. Gospodarzy na początek. Marlenę Maląg, minister Rodziny i Polityki Społecznej. Dzień dobry, pani minister. Barbarę Sochę, podsekretarza stanu w Ministerstwie Rodziny i Polityki Społecznej oraz pełnomocnika rządu do spraw polityki demograficznej. Dzień dobry. Stanisława Szwed,
Secretary of State in the Ministry of Family and Social Policy, and also the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Szymon Szynkowski-Welsenk, and the guests from abroad, Milan Krajniak, the Minister of Social Affairs and Family of Slovakia, Jana Malacowa, the Minister of Work and Social Matters of Czech, and Katarina Nowak, the Minister from Hungary, Katarzyna Bojemska, the head of the Family Council, and Marta Soluch, President of Orlen Foundation, representatives of the local administration, NGOs, and Bologna. Welcome everybody, and now the Prime Minister Morawiecki will open this conference. Madam Minister, Ministers, dear friends from the V4, thank you very much for this joint initiative, this excellent conference. We should start by saying that societies without families would be what civilization without culture, or religions without faith, or mathematics without numbers. It would be hard to imagine. Family is not only the very basic social cell, but it is also the place where the first imaginations and dream appear. This is the place where the feeling of safety is born, the feeling of stability, the need for stability and love, and where the human is born. In these circumstances, we are beginning the initiatives under the Visegrad Group and also here in Poland to further strengthen the role of family in the social life. Soon, we are going to have the International Family Day, and the International Family Day may be the symbol and the signal sent to the entire world that for us, family is the foundation, that it is very important for us. I believe that Poles can say this about themselves today, and they also could say this about themselves before, that family has always been important to Poland. At the same time, it also needs to be said that during the Third Republic of Poland, it was a little bit neglected. The policy of Poland, like childish Poland or the Poland, as some commentators said, of the warm water in the tap, this was a road that led nowhere. This was no way to strengthen the Polish family. It was not accidental that in 2015 we changed the name of the Ministry of Labor and Social Policy to the Ministry of Family, Labor and Social Policy, emphasizing family. We can also say that noble ideas are very important. The political will is very important. However, without the possibility, financial possibility to restructure the architecture of the state, this would be like an unfinished house, maybe a house with several levels, without the possibility of inhabiting it. That is why the true foundation and the revolutionary change was the program that could happen thanks to reconstruction or of the public finance system. There were holes in the system, like there in a sieve. There was no money there before 2015 because no one made the effort to make this system more efficient and tighter. The government of law and justice, the government of the United Right embarked on these works and obtained additional sources of financing in the effective fight with different sorts of pathologies on the market, pathologies of the public finance system. Thanks to this, we began our program, whose continuation will be presented in a couple of days when presenting the Polish deal. It was based on the revolutionary benefit for children, 500 plus, family 500 plus. These are big additional resources that are already flowing to the Polish families, amounting to over 140 billion zloty. That's approximately as much as we also need to mention the change after the open pension funds. Family is also about promoting values, promoting families, supporting families, big families. So what does this mean today, a big family? What does this notion mean? Supporting a family with 3 children or 4 children, this is also extremely important for every country, because along with the state, family is the best invention of humanity. It's in the family, under the wings of the state, under the wings of efficient states, that the best ideas and inventions were born, authored by those who created them. That is why we put such emphasis on this. We put a lot of emphasis on ensuring that all the basic requirements of the families are addressed properly, are addressed in the budget, but also addressed in the regulations, in the Polish state's politics, in the EU politics. We want to promote family in the European Union. Yes, we do it. For us, this is one of the basic goals of the social policy on the EU forum. And I also talked about this during the social summit in Porto, in Portugal, a couple of days ago. We are proud of this policy. We are proud of the family promotion policy, promoting families where children can be brought up in safety and peace, where they can be educated, where they can develop, where they can develop their talents. In the West, for a while, I don't know if it is still like that, but a couple of years ago I read some studies. So an inappropriate model of it's hard to call this family, but inappropriate model of family was promoted. DINKS, double income, no kids, so without kids. And no wonder that due to promoting this life model, more and more social problems are emerging. The problem of loneliness, because without family, people are lonely very often. That's why our family program is not just about supporting children. It's about supporting families at the different stages of life. It's about supporting the bonds, supporting the relations, supporting closeness, because it is in the families where this fundamental mechanism of empathy is born, the want of love. So, thanking all the authors of the conference, I also want to encourage local administration to promote family, because reliefs, all sorts of reliefs for families, cards for families, public transport tickets, or entry tickets to local administration institutions. This is a very important thing, as they also promote family and family life. We want to support these programs. That's why I want to thank Madam Minister Malong for developing a very good program for local administration. May the local administration, hand in hand with the state and with NGOs, fulfill this very important function, that is the promotion of family life. To all the families, to all the children, but also to the elderly, to mothers, to fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers, I want to wish them a great, wonderful life in family and in love. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prime Minister. And now we are passing on to the announcing of winners in the competition Samorząd Pro Familia 2021. First, we shall see a video.
Samorząd Pro Familia to konkurs Minister Rodziny i Polityki Społecznej, którego celem jest wyróżnienie i uhonorowanie samorządów prawdziwie prorodzinnych. Samorządów, które rozumieją, że inwestycja w rodzinę to inwestycja w przyszłość Polski. Rodziny chcą mieszkać, pracować i wychowywać dzieci tam, gdzie czują się bezpiecznie i mają dobre warunki do życia. Dzisiaj poznamy laureatów konkursu Samorządy Prawdziwie Pro Familia.
Zapraszam teraz na scenę.
Invite back to the stage Marlene Malong. And the finalists of the competition. The first category, the rural Municipality Markowa and the head of the municipality.
Gmina Miejsce Piastowe, wójt Dorota Chilik.
Miejsce Piastowe municipality, head of the municipality, Dorota Hilik.
Dziękujemy. Gmina Spytkowice, wójt
Spytkowice
Mariusz Krystian.
municipality head, Mariusz Krystian.
A tytuł
And the title of Samorząd Pro Familia goes to Miejsce Piastowe Municipality.
Gratulujemy. Dziękujemy.
Congratulations, thank you so much.
Dziękujemy, dziękujemy. Kategoria
Thank you.
druga.
Next category,
Gmina Wiejsko-Miejska.
Rural Urban Municipality,
Lubelskie.
Opole Lubelskie Municipality, the mayor Sławomir PiS.
Gmina Pleszew, wójt
Pleszew
Arkadiusz.
Municipality, the mayor Arkadiusz Ptok.
Gmina Trzebnica. burmistrz
Trzebnica
Marek
Municipality,
Długożyma.
the mayor Marek Długozima.
W tej kategorii
In this
tytuł Samorząd
category,
Pro Familia zdobyła gmina Pleszew.
Samorząd Pro Familia title goes to Pleszew.
Kategoria trzecia. Gmina
Next
miejska do
category.
30 000 mieszkańców.
Urban Municipality up to 20,000 inhabitants. Bieruń, Deputy Mayor Sebastian Macią.
Gmina Boguszów-Gorce.
Boguszów-Gorce Municipality, the mayor Krzysztof Kumorek.
Dziękujemy.
Thank
Gmina
you.
Piława Górna, burmistrz
Piława
Krzysztof
Górna Municipality, the mayor Krzysztof Chudyk.
Dziękujemy.
Thank you.
A tytuł Samorząd Pro
And
Familia
the
otrzymuje
title Samorząd Pro
gmina
Familia
Boguszów-Gorce.
goes to Boguszów-Gorce Municipality.
Gratulacje, dziękujemy.
Congratulations,
Kategoria
thank you.
czwarta. Gmina miejska
Next
od 20
category.
do 100 000 mieszkańców.
Urban
Grodzisk
Municipality
Mazowiecki,
from
burmistrz
20 to 100,000 inhabitants, Grodzisk Mazowiecki, Grzegorz Benedyktyński, the mayor.
Gmina miejska Otwock, prezydent
Otwock
Jarosław Margielski.
Municipality, Jarosław Margielski, the mayor.
Dziękujemy. I
Thank
mamy
you.
jeszcze w tej kategorii
And in this
Żory,
category, we also have Żory. We have
online.
representatives
A tytuł
of Żory
Samorząd
online.
Pro
And the
Familia
title
otrzymuje
Samorząd Pro Familia goes to Otwock.
Gratulacje, dziękuję.
Congratulations, thank you.
Kategoria piąta,
Fifth
gmina miejska
category,
powyżej 100 000 mieszkańców.
the municipality
Gdynia,
over
wiceprezydent
100,000 inhabitants, Gdynia, Vice President Marek Łucyk.
Dziękujemy. Katowice, prezydent
Katowice,
Marcin Krupa.
the President Marcin Krupa.
Dziękujemy.
Thank you.
Szczecin,
And
wiceprezydent
Szczecin,
Krzysztof
Vice President Krzysztof Soska.
Dziękujemy.
Thank you.
Tytuł samorząd.
And the
Pro
title
Familia
Samorząd
w tej
Pro
kategorii
Familia in this category goes to Katowice.
Gratulacje.
Congratulations,
Dziękuję bardzo.
thank you so
Gratulacje dla
much.
wszystkich
Congratulations
państwa.
to all of you,
Teraz
ladies and gentlemen. And now the Prime Minister, due to other commitments, has to leave us. Thank you very much for joining us.
Panią minister poproszę o pozostanie.
And Madam Minister will stay with us. I also want to invite Barbara Socha and Stanisław Szwed.
Wręczone zostaną teraz
Now,
wyróżnienia minister rodziny.
The
A
prizes of
otrzymują
the Minister of
Gdynia,
Family will be
wiceminister
awarded
Marek
to
Łucyk.
Gdynia, to
Zapraszamy.
Vice President Marek Łucyk.
Dziękujemy.
Thank you.
Grodzisk Mazowiecki.
Grodzisk
burmistrz
Mazowiecki,
Grzegorz
Dme
Benedyktyński.
Grzegorz Benedyktyński.
Dziękujemy.
Thank you.
Sędziszów Małopolski. burmistrz
Sędziszów
Bogusław
Małopolski, Dme Bogusław Kmieć.
Państwu wiceministrom teraz.
Now I would like to thank you, and I would like to invite Marta Soluch, the president of the Olin Foundation, to offer checks
Na scenę pani.
which were granted by this partner of the competition. First, please Dorota Bojemska, come to the floor. And first, the distinctions of the jury of the competition. The checks will be received by Nysa, the mayor Kordian Korbiasz. Please, sir, come forward.
Dziękujemy.
Thank you.
I Kępice.
And Kępice, the representatives are online and they connect with us online. Additional Orlen checks in the amount of 50,000 zloty for those municipalities that received the Pro Familia Municipality Award will be awarded by Madam Marta Soluch.
Czyli gminy, które otrzymały tytuł
So those municipalities that received the Pro Familia Award, please come to the stage. Pleszew, Gorca, Otwock, Katowice.
Dziękujemy, gratulacje.
Thank you and congratulations to all of you.
Paniom również dziękujemy. Gratulujemy nagrodzonym raz jeszcze.
Congratulations
My już
to
przechodzimy teraz
all
do paneli
the
dyskusyjnych.
awarded municipalities, and now we will move to our discussion panels. The first
Uczestnikami tego panelu są
part is
Marlena
Family
Maląg,
First. The participant
minister
is Marlena Maląg, the Ministry of Family and Social Policy, Mila Krajniak, the Minister of Labour, Social Affairs and Family of the Slovak Republic. Of course, they are online, the representatives of our countries. Also Milan Krajniak, the Minister of Labour, Social Affairs and Family. Also Jana Malaczowa, the Minister of Labour and Social Affairs from the Czech Republic, and Katalin Novak, the Minister of Families from Hungary. First, the question to Minister Maląg. A question that relates to the awards that were just granted, because it is connected to building the image of family. We all know that we want to build the best possible image of our own families, but how can territorial governments and NGOs and the government build the positive image of a family? First of all, I would like to thank all the colleagues, ministers of families, thank them for their participation. I am really happy that we can share our best practices, our opinions. Family is a treasure and center of our attention, and we have no doubt about that. The programs that we observe, that we admire in your countries, are supposed to promote a pro-family policy in order to build happy families, because happy families are happy countries. Therefore, the programs that we have introduced, that we have discussed many times before, such as 500 plus family in Poland, a Good Start program, but also a program of allowances for families with 4 children and more, as well as those allowances for care-over toddlers. It's billions of zlotys that we transferred to this cause, and Poland is going to introduce some further allowances and further support measures for families under the new deal that the Prime Minister is going to present in the next several days, so that in the difficult post-COVID times we can ensure economic growth that will be favorable to Polish families. Therefore, we have organized a competition for municipalities and for NGOs, because building a wide coalition with a government that ensures large programs of funding, but the municipalities which are closest to the citizens, which know the needs of the citizens and understand family policy, are the most important. We have more than 2,000 municipalities in Poland, and we had some 230 municipalities that took part in this competition. We were very happy to see that municipalities wanted to share their specific solutions that favor families and favor and help young people start families, and so that they want to have children born out of these families. So this is something that can help us in the light of the demographic challenge. We want to show these municipalities to Poland's citizens, and we want to have systematic, coordinated activities. The municipalities that were awarded today are those that have made set aside funding for families in their budgets for many years ahead. They are granting a large part of their budgets for family policies. These are numerous solutions related to public transport, large family cards, or their help for support to newborn babies, or all types of discounts, for example, for waste management, and also good cooperation with NGOs in order to create positive climate around families. Therefore, for the second time, we are going to have the winners of the Family First competition addressed to NGOs, those NGOs that implement great projects around our country, projects that show how important family is and that the family is priority of all our activities. Therefore, the pro-family policy of Poland is first of all addressed at investment in families. We have a lot to do. Very soon in our New Deal, we are going to present new solutions. As it turns out, young Poles need to be supported in terms of housing, in terms of the changes in the labor codes, the working time, and also financial security, a very important aspect, and something that we want to stress in our New Deal is support to young parents after the birth of a child. So those measures that are to secure them, that are to give them the feeling of security, so that young mothers after maternity leave, they can decide of whether to return to work or to stay at home, so that this time between the first and the third years of life of a child is secure. It is very important to support families, hence today's meeting that we want to complete by signing our joint declaration to show Europe that our countries, the countries of Visegrad Group, treat family as a priority of their actions, because this is the future that we want to build. We want to build on this stable foundation of a family, the future of our countries, the future of Europe, and we want to show the Europe that it's our focus. We've heard a lot about families, but also in Poland, but also in the V4 group countries. Why do you think this subject is so important? Maybe this question to Hungary, to Madam Katalin Nowak. Please, Madam Minister.
Marlena, thank you so much for being the host for this event and not giving it up despite the COVID situation. And I would be even more happy if we could meet personally, but I very much hope that this time comes soon. And as we will take over the V4 presidency from the second half of this year, we would be happy to host you as well. I hope very much that personally in Budapest we discuss further these issues. So according to the question, why do we think that the family-friendly orientation is important, and why is this approach so unique? We can state that the V4 countries, so the Eastern Europe, play an important role in showing a model for pro-family approach. We all agree, we have a consensus that the family is the key for our survival. And that means that we've put families in the focus, that we think if somebody is in favor of families, then it means that this person is respecting the elderly, respecting his or her parents, grandparents, predecessors, and is responsible for the future generations. So for his or her children, and also generations to come. So it's on one hand respect, and on the other hand responsibility. And that is the difference between having a pro-family approach or not having a pro-family approach. That is one point. The other point is the demographic situation. When we think about the demographic situation we all face in Europe, then we can state that there is not a single European member state where the fertility rate reaches at least 2 or replacement level. So that means that there is no such European country for the moment where there are enough children being born. And that is the situation in Poland, in Czech Republic, in Slovakia, and also in Hungary, but it goes also for the rest of Europe, so for everybody. And what is the response to that? What do we do in order to overcome this difficult demographic situation? The question is if we just want to solve the equation by importing people, by supporting migration, or on the other hand, what we do in Hungary and in other countries as well, is that to support families. We chose the second option. For us is the first option, of course, saying that we have to support young generations to be able to have as many children as they should have in the moment when they want to have these children. And my answer to the question why this family approach is important is that until we reach that each and every child for whom the parents or future parents wish for is born, we still have a duty to do that. To put it in a more let's say a pragmatic way or a more professional approach, I would say that until there is this fertility gap, meaning that until there are less children being born than the number of children wished, we still have a duty to fulfill. So the government need to get engaged, and that is what we do in Hungary. And without going into details, we will have a chance to speak about that. I have to underline that in Hungary we invest 5% of our GDP support. That is the among all of our countries, and we also see the results, meaning that, for example, in Hungary in the last 10 years, the increase of the fertility rate was the highest among the European member states, meaning that the fertility rate has raised by almost a quarter, almost 25%, and also the number of marriages is twice as much as we used to have 10 years ago. So that means that we already see the results of a pro-family approach, and we very much welcome the approach of the Visegrad 4 countries as well. And I am very happy to see that in all of our countries, we put families in focus. And just as we did in the last years, we are ready to share with each other our best practices. That is why I am so happy that we can today sign this common agreement. So once again, thank you so much for being here today together. And I'm ready to the further questions as well, but I will give the floor to the others. Thank you.
Dziękujemy bardzo, pani minister. Rzeczywiście my czasem mówimy we wszystkich państwach tak naprawdę, że może gospodarczo trochę gonimy jeszcze, chociaż się dobrze rozwijamy.
Although we are still behind Western Europe in terms of economy, but in terms of respect to families, some tradition, I think should say that we are really ahead
Faktem jest i to, że
the
społeczeństwa
majority
grupy
of
V4
European
starzeją
states,
się w
but
znacznym tempie.
it is true that our societies are aging. Probably it's the neglect of the past, lack of the respect for the issue of family and raising children. So now I would ask the representative of Czech Republic, Madam Jana Malaczowa, how this is changing in your country, how the model of family is changing in your country.
Dear colleagues, dear ministers, please let me send you warm greetings from Prague. Although it is raining right now, I hope we really soon enjoy everywhere in whichever countries the summer. And I also hope that we could meet very soon in person. But first of all, let me thank you for inviting me to this discussion. Family policy is a priority for the current Czech government. We implemented in the last few years many laws and initiatives which helped families to reconcile family and work life. I think that everybody knows that we still have a lot of consequences of the modernization process from the last years. The consequences of the modernization process are increased materialism and increased individualism. But the good news is that the Czech people or Czech citizen, they still value family as one of the most important things in life. That is very good news for us. And that's the reason why we actually appreciate family as a basic and the most important unit of our society. I think that in all Visegrad countries, we all face the same challenges. The housing prices are very high, and that's the first barrier for young people in their decision to have a family very soon. The second problem is the financial stability. When young people decide to found a family, they have to get support from the state. Otherwise, they have to face many problems which are connected to maternal and family leaves and allowances. And I'm very happy that our government actually implemented the most supporting schemes in this area of financial stability for families. The third area which we value as the most important. Sorry, the Czech citizen actually, or the young people in the Czech Republic, they actually do not want to choose between family and work life. They want to have both, and they actually expect from the state to guarantee for them the freedom of choice. So for this reason, part-time jobs, preschool arrangements, so preschool facilities, and in terms of low prices, these are two things the Czech families expect from our government and from the state the most. And that should be also the thing we should have in mind. In the Czech Republic, the people think that, or they wish to have 2 children at least, but the reality is 1.5 in the recent years. So it shows clearly from my we have to help people to fulfill their wish in order to have children. Well, the education is the higher education is people actually wish to have 3 children. So that was the actually biggest surprise for me that people university graduates would like to have 3 children. See as a perfect state of play. And once again, that is the for us to enable Czech families, Czech citizens to have both family and work life, and let it work in a satisfying way. Once again, I cannot too often. Family, a happy family is the basic need of our society, and I think we have also same meaning opinion in the Czech Parliament for this issue. All political parties wish to have it the same way. Let's support working families. Let's enable them to fulfill their goals. Thank you very much.
Minister, the topic of the University of Graduate Families was very interesting. It would be worth looking at the situation in Poland in this respect, but that's a separate topic. We'll be getting back to demographics still today. Now a question, of course, to the representative of Slovakia. How do you predict the model of family will look in 20 or 30 years in your country, because the generations that are born now will be adult then? How do you picture them in 20 or 30 years, the model of the family?
Ďakujem veľmi pekne poľskej strane a pani ministerke Malak za zorganizovanie tejto konferencie. A teším sa, že si môžeme vymeniť svoje názory a predikcie toho, že ako sa bude vyvíjať situácia na Strednej Európe do budúcnosti.
Thank you very much to our colleague, Madam Mark from Poland, and I am looking forward to the opportunity to exchange views and predictions related to further development of years in the Central Europe.
Že by som roboty odpísal to, čo hovorila pani Katalin Novák a pani Jana Maláčová vo svojich príspevkoch, pretože v zásade tie isté výsledky analýz máme aj u nás.
In the beginning, I just like to say that I would sign all what was said by Madam Katalin Novák and Madam Maláčová, because in principle we have the same results of the analysis.
Čo sa týka Slovenska, za posledných 30 rokov klesol počet, alebo klesol vstúpol vek prvorodičky na Slovensku z 22,65 roka v roku 1989 na 28,09 roka v roku 2019.
Concerning Slovakia, over the last 30 years, the average age of the mothers primipare has been increasing all the time from 22.65 years of age in 1989 up to 28.09 years of age in the year 2019.
To znamená, že keby sme robili na základe tohto posunu predikciu, ako bude vyzerať rodina na Slovensku o 20 rokov, tak sa obávam, že by sme boli vo veľmi kritickej situácii.
Should we make a prediction on the development of the families, let's say, in 20 years in Slovakia, according to this trend, then I would say that we should be concerned related to the form of the families.
Preto sa teraz v tejto situácii chceme sústrediť na odstraňovanie prekážok, ktoré môžu brániť ľuďom rozhodnúť sa založiť si rodinu alebo mať deti a ktoré im v takomto rozhodnutí bránia.
That's the reason why nowadays we need to focus on how to eliminate the barriers for the young people to either settle down, create the families and have children.
alebo ak už majú rodinu a majú jedno alebo dve deti, aby sme odstránili bariéry a prekážky, aby sa mohli rozhodnúť mať ďalšie dieťa.
Or if such families do have one or two children, we should remove the barriers preventing them from having more kids.
My sme spočítali, že výchova jedného dieťaťa do 20. roku života na Slovensku stojí priemernú rodinu na strate príjmu kvôli nákladom, ktoré sú spojené s touto výchovou dieťaťa, 50 až 70 tisíc eur.
We have calculated that the upbringing of one child until the age of 20 years expressed in the terms of a loss of income and the costs for the family amounts 50 to 70,000 euros.
Čiže prvé odstránenie bariér je samozrejme finančné. Preto sme napríklad prijali ako takú motiváciu pre rozhodnutie tehotenský príspevok, ktorý vyplácame vo výške 200 eur pre budúce mamičky od 4. mesiaca tehotenstva. Aby sme už vlastne úplne na úvod finančne aj psychologicky podporili budúcu mamičku.
Therefore, as the first step in eliminating the barriers, first of all, the financial barriers for the family, we decided to introduce the pregnancy allowance amounting 200
dieťaťa nad 3 roky, od 3 rokov právo na škôlku od roku 2024. To znamená, na Slovensku od roku 2024 bude mať každý rodič s dieťaťom od 3 rokov právo umiestniť ho do škôlky.
The government adopted a strategy 2 weeks ago, according to which the parents will have the right to place their children starting with the age of 3 years in the kindergartens in Slovakia. And this means that starting with 2024, every parent will have the opportunity to place a child in the kindergarten.
A takisto sme chceli nastoliť istú spravodlivosť spojenú s tým, že výchova dieťaťa pre spoločnosť má aj ekonomický zmysel a rodičov stojí tých 50 až 70 tisíc eur, tak sme presadili do ústavy zmenu spočívajúcu v tom, že zavádza istý rodičovský bonus na dôchodku.
And in addition, in order to achieve a certain justice, because such an approach to a family also has an economic importance and meaning. When we mentioned before that the costs for the family of upbringing a child are between 50 and 70,000 euros, we also made an amendment in the Constitution according to which we have introduced the so-called parent bonus.
To znamená, že každé pracujúce dieťa bude môcť 5% zo svojich odvodov odviesť priamo na dôchodok svojim rodičom, ktorí sú už na penzii.
This means that every working child will have the possibility to allocate 5% of the income for the pension of his or her parents.
Týmito opatreniami a ďalšími, o ktorých by sme mohli dlho rozprávať, chceme zmeniť najmä klímu v spoločnosti, aby mladí ľudia, ale aj tí ľudia, ktorí, dajme tomu, už majú deti a rozhodujú sa, že či by mali ešte ďalšie, vedeli, že štát má záujem byť spravodlivý a nápomocný k týmto ľuďom.
Due to these measures, we also would like to change the climate in the society. It means those children who have parents will understand that the state wants to be very just and very fair and also helping them.
Všetky tieto materiálne a finančné stimuly môžu napomôcť, ale to rozhodujúce, čo považujeme za najlepšiu prorodinnú politiku, je zmena klímy v spoločnosti, kde ľudia získajú pocit, že rodina, zakladanie si rodín a to, že niekto chce mať deti, je želané, vítané a štát je k tomu nápomocný.
These both material and financial incentives are intended to help people, and this pro-family strategy wants to improve the climate in the society so that the people will have the impression that really family is important, and if they want to have kids, they can have kids, and that the kids are wanted and welcomed. So it is important to say that the state is also interested in changing the present climate in the society.
Thank you.
Dziękujemy bardzo panu ministrowi.
Thank you very much, Minister. We have learned many details. We have received a lot of concrete information. It seems that Slovakia has quite strong solutions, even including them in the constitution. I want to ask about one thing, because we also had this proposal in Poland, like children saving a part of their income for the pension of the parents. Minister, you mentioned 5%. And does this mean that the pension is paid immediately because the child is working and the parent can be retired now? So is this paid out immediately or after some time? Because this is an important solution. How are you going to solve this?
Tento rok diskutujeme s našimi koaličnými partnermi o vykonávacích predpisoch. Ten zámysel je taký, zmena ústavy bude je účinná od 1.1.23. Čiže máme teraz vlastne 2 roky, aby sme doladili ten model, ako to má prebiehať. Čiže toto na úvod.
So I have to say that the amended constitution is currently valid. Nowadays, we are debating with our coalition partners the possibilities for the implementation of this new amendment. And the idea is that since the 1st of January 2023, this amended constitution will be in force, we still have 2 years for discussions to finalize the approach.
Ale áno, zámer je taký, že ak som správne pochopil otázku, tak tá platba ide iba pre rodičom, ktorí sú už na penzii. To znamená, pracujúce dieťa bude môcť prispievať svojmu rodičovi alebo obom, ak sú už na penzii.
Yes, and the idea is, if I properly understood your question, that the parents will get this allocated 5% from their kids only when they are already retired. It means the working child will allocate this 5% to one or both parents when they are already retired.
Dziękujemy bardzo za tę odpowiedź.
Thank you for this answer, Minister. I still have one more question in this panel to Madam Minister Maluk. In connection with what the Prime Minister said, the social summit in Porto, and Prime Minister mentioned the Polish way that focuses on families and on supporting economies. This is the post-pandemic topic that we cannot escape, of course, but this may be a quick question, whether the task now will be support consisting in helping or giving chances, or maybe the two are not mutually exclusive. Ladies and gentlemen, actually the two things are mutually complementary. Now is a difficult time because we are talking about the pro-family policy in a situation when one might think that savings are needed. But we believe, and I believe that also our colleagues, ministers, believe that investing in the family should be the first thing. What we invest in the economy should also serve our families. That's why this difficult time connected with the pandemic, when we were trying to save jobs and when people who might have lost jobs received additional benefits. But the most important thing for us is that the benefits that are dedicated to families with young children, but also for the elderly, they should be a very special shield in this crisis to support the families in this difficult time. But other solutions are being analyzed and will be implemented, because I am convinced, and the colleagues ministers said it, that we have selected a direction, and we cannot change the direction right now. We have a commitment towards our nations to conduct a responsible policy that will focus on the next person. In our solutions, we need to find the balance between work and family life. This is extremely important, not to go in one direction only. There must be balance between work and family life, and we need to build the positive climate by implementing specific solutions. Thank you very much, Madam Minister. I must say that the latest estimates of the European Commission connected with the Polish unemployment rate are really impressive. That's under 3%. So I also wish such results to our V4 colleagues. Thank you very much for taking part in this panel, and ahead we have the next discussion devoted to the seniors, the elderly, and their role in our lives now and in the future. In this panel, we have Madam Minister Marlena Maluk, Minister of Family and Social Policy, Stanisław Szwed, Vice Minister of Family and Social Policy, Jana Malacova, from the Czech Republic, the Secretary of State, Caregiver, the Ministry for Families from Hungary, and Milan Krajniak, the Minister of Labor, Social Matters and Family from Slovakia.
Wszystkich Państwa witamy.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We would be happy to see you.
No właśnie. Zatem witamy raz jeszcze, proszę Państwa. Żyjemy dłużej, to na pewno. Żyjemy aktywniej,
longer, that's for sure. We live more actively, but due to demographic reasons that we've been discussing, it seems a challenge to have this relation between the working population and the senior population. What this demographic challenge will have for pension systems of our countries? This is a question to Minister Krajniak.
Demografická kríza aj na Slovensku má veľmi zásadný vplyv na penzijný systém, dokonca tak veľký, že zmeny v penzijnom systéme máme zakomponované aj v istých podmienkach plánu obnovy, ktorý teraz negociujeme s Európskou úniou.
The demographic crisis in Slovakia has a principal impact on the pension system, and this impact is really big. Therefore, we have included the changes in the pension system into the plan of recovery and resilience, which is currently being negotiated with the European Union.
Potrebujeme vykryť taký dlhodobý štrukturálny deficit v penzijnom systéme vo výške 1,8% HDP.
And we need to cover the long-term structural debt or deficit amounting 1.8% of GDP.
Potrebujeme vyriešiť dve veci, ktoré sa spolu bijú. Poprvé dať ľuďom istotu, že sa dožijú dôchodku pri dobrom zdraví a budú si ho môcť užiť.
And I have to say that there are two things, in fact, combating with each other. One is that we would like to give certainty to people that they will be able to live until the pension or retirement age and be healthy.
A po druhé, reagovať na neustále sa predĺžujúcu strednú dĺžku života.
And we have to react to still longer and longer life expectancy.
A túto kvadratúru kruhu sme sa pokúsili vyriešiť takou možno zaujímavou novinkou.
And this square circle we want to improve or resolve by a novelty.
Že zakotvíme, alebo v našom pláne dôchodkovej reforme je zakotvené automatu predĺžovania odchodu do dôchodku podľa zvyšovania strednej dĺžky života.
It means that in our pension system we have incorporated an automatic. We plan to incorporate the automatic tool according to which the retirement age will follow the life expectancy.
Ale súčasne zakotvujeme nové právo, a to je tiež zakotvené v zmene ústavy, ktorú som už spomínal.
And we also want to introduce a new right, which is already contained in the Constitution Amendment, which I mentioned before.
Že každý bude mať právo odísť na dôchodok po 40 odpracovaných rokoch.
This means that every person will have the right to retire after 40 years of working.
A toto je vlastne taká základná kontúra tej dôchodkovej reformy alebo reformy dôchodkového systému, ktorú na Slovensku v priebehu tohto roka ideme zrealizovať.
And this is the main outlined idea of the modified pension system which we are going to implement this year. Thank you.
Dziękujemy bardzo, panie ministrze. No rzeczywiście znowu poznaliśmy sporo szczegółów i takich trochę zbliżonych, a troszkę innych niż w Polsce, tak bym powiedziała. Biorąc pod uwagę
different from Poland. For example, the history of employment, retirement pensions. We have this 30 years for men and 35 years for women. But I understand that you have the 40 years of work. There is also the issue of prolongation or maybe shortening of retirement age. We have a different approach. We want to encourage our citizens to stay in employment through some allowances, tax allowances. So we are now approaching the life expectancy issues and our senior citizens issues. This is one group of society that Well, there is a question on how to use the potential of the senior citizens to make them, the society aware that they are not really a cost. They are not only a cost now that they are the beneficiaries of the retirement system.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if this was the question to me, and we were waiting for the reaction. I'm sorry, could you once again repeat your question?
Tak, ja mówiłam, że seniorzy.
Of course, I said that senior citizens are the group that consumes all their income. So how could we use their economic potential so they are not only considered persons that are a cost to the system, that only use the system?
That is actually very strong discussion we face right now in the Czech Republic, because we prepared as a government a huge pension reform in the Czech Republic, and we proposed it last week. The thing is, or if I should describe very quickly, what is the main topic of this pension reform? The story behind this is the Czech Republic, the society of the Czech Republic is aging, as everywhere in Europe. We are going to have huge problems in 20, 30 years because also of decreasing birth rates in the Czech Republic and aging society. The economy of the Czech Republic is changing very quickly. Now we actually deal with pandemic situation, and this is our main concern, the concern number one. But when we are behind the situation and when we actually come back to the normal life, then we can probably see that there are much bigger challenges: climate change, the complete shift in the industry in terms of digitalization and automatization, but also the aging of the society. And I would like, to have the state of play in the Czech Republic when everybody believes that there is one certain thing in life and in our society, and that is, who is working his or her whole life, then this person is going to have a certain pension. That should be the story which we all have to believe in. Because in the Czech Republic, the discourse or the political debates, they very often interpreted in the way I'm 18 years old, and should I believe that in 40 years, when I'm old, or 45 years, can I actually believe that I'm going to have a pension from the state? And my answer as a social democrat is yes, of course, because I want to have a state which believes and makes sure that if you work your whole life, you are going to have a certain pension. That's the one thing. And the second thing is that the pension is high enough in order to have a very nice and stable life at the end of your life, in your last years. And that is thing which is connected to your question, because the policy of aging was in the last year debated in terms of pension reform. But I would like to have more discussion. What does it mean to be old? Because the Czechs there, they very often think, when I'm old, I do not need to work, but there are still possibilities to be active on the labor market, of course, probably part-time job, but also in position like mentoring. But I would also love to have situation that we have kind of solidarity between generations. In my ministry, we try to connect preschool facilities with older person homes, and it works very well. You should see the joy and the happiness when old people meet the children, and when they have contact on everyday level. The first thing we try to actually empower is that we want to have active, old generation, interested in their environment, interested in their hobbies, interested in good neighbor relationships. And we have many policy measures which are really successful in this area. And last point I would like to mention is that I see the aging policy very connected to the family policy, because family, it doesn't only mean mother and father and their children. It also mean that people have to live more or less in more generations arrangements. For example, my family, I'm still on everyday contact with my grandmother, which is the last one from my parents' who still lives, and she lives with my parents. I know that the modern society, there are a lot of barriers, and not everybody wants to have this way, but intergenerational solidarity is a very important goal for all of us, because it makes our lives more interesting, richer, and it helps also to once again reconcile our family and work life. I'm not sure if I was clear enough, but these are my ideas to your question.
Dziękujemy bardzo, pani minister.
Thank you, Minister. When you said about the cooperation solidarity between generations, the last year, I think, is the time where we've seen, when we've talked a lot about that, there are many programs that were devoted or are devoted to active living of senior citizens, of older citizens, where they can learn, where they can spend their time actively. Maybe it will be even more important in the time to come. The time of the pandemic has given them some answers, but we look forward. Now, Minister Stanisław Szwed, please.
Szanowni Państwo Ministrowie,
dear ministers, senior citizens policy is very important for the family policy. We have something like the 4 legs of this policy. I've heard some of the different ideas. The first is the financial security of retired citizens. We've increased the minimum pensions by nearly 45% over the last 5 years. The so-called 13th pension in the year is now legally guaranteed. And also this year there's going to be also a 14th pension. So we support those that have the lowest pensions, so that their financial situation is decent, and there is an issue of working throughout life, and this is the issue that is really strongly connected to the retirement system. We keep the 60 years old and 60 for women and 65 years old for men as retirement age, but an important change is that it's an employee that makes this decision whether they want to use the possibility of going to retirement, or depends on the health condition of the person, and also their professional position. Employers have an important role to ensure employment for those elder employees. Older employees are needed, are important. The data from the Social Security system is now showing that people tend to remain in employment longer. We want to ask our senior citizens to remain in professional activity as long as possible, and we also want to keep the so-called bridge retirement pensions for related to conditions of work. Another idea or another is the issue of independent living of older persons.
And we want these people to be supported by the family, by their near and dear ones. But we realize that many people are lonely, and we activate them. Hence, our programs, Senior Plus program, the possibility of creating daycare centers for seniors or senior clubs, and this targets the local administration. In recent years, over 1,000 units like that were opened. Over 23,000 of seniors used those. They operated, the centers operated even during the pandemic. And these are the places where seniors can meet, where they can attend classes. Recently, digital classes are very fashionable. That's something that seniors need. And the second program, the Active Plus or Activni Plus, targeting NGOs. And we are allocated 500 million zloty for these programs. This is the support which enables the elderly to meet, to integrate, to travel together. And the last point, this is the healthcare and care services, extremely important. Let me just mention one element that we introduced in our ministry, the 75 plus care. This targets the local administrations, which can help by buying the care services for the seniors staying at home, and such care can be provided. Of course, institutional care is very important, and we also support this, but we believe that if it's possible to provide care at home, it should be done as long as possible. So this should involve the carers for the disabled or people who help the elderly in other ways. Naturally, it's also about the healthcare services, the proper hospital care, but I'm not going to get into the details because this is within another ministry. But I focused on these four legs, so to put it, because I believe that this is the most important thing to do to keep our seniors active and to be able to together as long as possible. This, I believe, is the most important thing. I will not discuss the problems because I believe our problems are similar. The societies are aging and we have to look for solutions to this problem. So very briefly, I presented what we are doing now. Of course, there are many more programs and we could spend longer time on presenting them, but I just wanted to present the efforts that we are making as the ministry, as the government. Thank you very much, Minister.
Pan minister odnośnie aktywności seniorów, jak najdłużej pozostawania zarówno w samodzielności, jak i w ogóle w pewnej aktywności społecznej.
And social activity, maybe professional activity. In Poland, 500 plus for those who are dependent is worth mentioning. This can be for seniors, but this is actually more broadly understood. But to get back to activity, this is a question to Minister Eker from Hungary. Today, when we think about ourselves, we think that we will be active when we retire, that we will live life to the full. What should be done for us to live life to the full when we are retired? What is Hungary doing? Maybe you have some good examples, good practices in Hungary. What can we do to make this real, to live life to the full when we retire?
Thank you very much, dear ministers, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. If we think about our elderly years, which are still far to come, we need to face that even though in Hungary the life expectancy used to be quite low, if we take a look ahead and we take like 2040 or 2050 or 2060, it is going to be quite high. So we need to spend our years retired actively, and we find ways to stay active both mentally, physically, and active also in our families. On the one hand, we cannot neglect the fact that most of us are going to be living in families. We will have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and we need to find ways to spend time together with our families. In Hungary, we have a program which is called Get Plus, which aims at that grandparents who are still working can be together with their grandchildren if the parents of the child are working. So they can decide, if they still work, to support their children and to take care of their grandchildren at home. On the other hand, we need to focus on both physical and mental health of the elderly. I can present you a best practice that we have in Hungary. We used to have a world champion orienteer, a lady, Sarolta Monspart, who unfortunately died recently, who founded the nationwide net of walking clubs of the elderly. It's elderly people getting together every weekend, and they do a simple thing: they walk together. And when walking, they talking. And during this joint walking, they go to places which are in the city or in the outskirts of the city, and they visit places they have never been before, and they spend time together. It was founded in 2017, and now it's a nationwide net of elderly walkers. As of March 2021, there are 100 registered walking clubs in Hungary. And I can tell you that they are not only walking, but they are connecting, and they are using social media to connect, to share their photos, to stay in touch, to get connected, and to invite people to their walking clubs. I think that this example, this nationwide net of walking clubs of the elderly, is just just an example, but clearly shows what we try to support. We try to support both the physical and through the physical, both the mental health of the elderly people. What we also aim at is to try to help local authorities or to direct or to initiate local authorities to help the elderly. We have a senior-friendly municipality award, which the Minister for Interior and the Minister for Families awards to the municipalities, the local authorities who do the most for the elderly people. The actions or the activities or the initiatives that they do is so widespread that I cannot list it, and it's a really widespread initiative in Hungary, and we are really happy that we can present the local authorities year by year with the award. What the pandemic has taught us, that the need to meet with relatives, the need to meet grandchildren is stronger than the actual ignorance towards or the unwillingness towards the use of digital equipments to get in touch or to stay in touch with families. We also have a digital welfare program which aims at teaching the elderly, teaching the retired people how to use computers, how to use the internet, how to use social media, social networks to stay in touch and get in touch with each other. We have around 150 local points throughout the country where elderly people can meet with mentors, can meet with people who help them how to turn on a computer, how to use a browser, how to register on Facebook or whichever social media platform. So what we aim at is to use, try to help the elderly how to use the means or the recent possibilities that our recent age shows for us. And I think this is a solution which is both good for the elderly and both good for their families. And that's what is the most important, because most of the elderly people live in a family, and I think they can live their life to the fullest if they can do it with their families. Thank you very much.
Dziękujemy bardzo panu ministrowi. No, słyszeliśmy ciekawostki, pani minister.
You've told us many interesting things. Probably there is another competition that we could open. We had a competition for the local administration, and Madam Minister mentioned the competition for the NGOs. So maybe also there should be a competition and awards for the local governments that do most for the seniors. Maybe awards would be desirable here.
Oczywiście być może mówię to w kategoriach żartu, ale może zupełnie realne. Pandemia na pewno nas troszkę wyhamowała w tych wszystkich działaniach, które tutaj dobre przykłady były podawane przez Węgry. Oczywiście pewnie nie mogliśmy tak na bieżąco korzystać na pewno na zdrowie psychiczne seniorów,
the pandemic certainly affected the mental health of the elderly due to isolation. And now a summary to this panel from Madam Minister Maląg. Ministers, when we talk about family policy and seniors policy, we have a lot of shared opinions and shared common efforts. The challenge is that we live longer and longer, which of course makes us glad, but not enough children are born. And I believe that the last panel devoted to demographics, this is a natural challenge. And the challenges for the seniors policy policy which Minister Szwed discussed actually coincide or overlap in our countries. During the period of pandemic, when the restrictions were being introduced by the government, we wanted to take care of our seniors. We didn't want to leave them to themselves. A program was developed, and I mentioned that during our recent meeting, the Solidarity Seniors Support Corps. This was the program of the government, local governments, but also voluntary workers. And I was impressed by the number of youth organizations that became involved as volunteers in helping seniors. There was also the component of the digital voluntary support, so that seniors learn to navigate the internet, so that they can do things in the internet. But seniors policy, this is a challenge to us. It directly affects the pension system of each of our countries. Our government restored the retirement age, like Minister Szwed said, 60 years for women, 65 for men. But based on these incentives, we want, well, to incentivize both to work as long as possible. We want them to live long and healthy and work long as well. We are also thinking about changing the mindset of the young people. The contracts that they sign on at the beginning of their professional life, they should start paying premiums as early as that, so that they realize that they are saving for their pension from the beginning of their professional careers. These are certain mindset changes which can be very difficult, but I am really glad, like the minister from Slovakia mentioned a solution that was recommended, that I would recommend to Prime Minister. So, as part of the intergenerational changes, we could contribute to our parents' pensions. So we are working on various solutions, developing solutions. The solutions are part of the National Recovery Plan that will be like a springboard, but this will also support Poles working as long as they want and can, and we also want to, of course, support the best care for seniors, the soft programs. Back to the FAMILIA competition. Actually, it's enough to add just one component, which will assess the seniors policy, because when we talk about family, we talk about families with young children, about the climate around the family, but we also have seniors in mind. So this is something worth giving thought to. Thank you, Minister. Minister, you mentioned that we should start thinking early on about saving for our pensions, because actually the world doesn't know any better system than the public pension system. All the studies show that we are beginning to think about the pension when we turn 40. We have this very special TV series, 40-latek, like a 40-year-old. But we should definitely start thinking about the pensions much earlier. So, thank you very much for taking part in this debate devoted to seniors policy. And now, ahead, we have another point on the agenda, that is the awarding the medals to those Meritis pro Familia, and we'll invite the winners to the stage. Those who won the awards have joined us online, and the awards will be given by Minister Szymon Szynkowski-Welsenk, Secretary of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Speaker of the Government for the Polish Presidency, and in the Visegrad Group, and the awards will be also handed over by Madam Malong, the Minister of Family and Social Policy. So now on to the Society of the Polish Families, Trampolina, Polish families living in the Czech Republic, established in 2012. Congratulations. The next medal, Maciej Filak from Ireland, father and husband who, in the face of the suffering in this family, is showing an unbreakable attitude. These are the grounds for the award. Congratulations. And Barka Foundation, the Netherlands, the section of the foundation that operates in Finland from January 2012, helps the homeless and also is involved in helping the families and the seniors. Congratulations, congratulations to all the winners. Thank you, Madam Minister. Thank you, Minister. Congratulations to the winners. And now over to Minister Szymon Szynkowski-Welsenk. Thank you very much. I am here in a double role. On the one hand, I want to thank Madam Minister for the invitation as the Speaker of the Polish government for the Polish presidency in the Visegrad Group. I want to thank Madam Minister for organizing this conference and for the cooperation in the field of family. This is all thanks to Madam Minister. And this conference, we heard here many very interesting comments. We have great guests, and the family policy bring us together. I want to thank you for the fact that we are using the Polish presidency in the Visegrad Group to discuss this very important topic. I am responsible for the policy connected with Poles abroad, the operations of Poles abroad. Let me remind you that we have almost 20 million of Poles abroad. Every third Pole lives abroad, and the abroad Poles are also working for the promotion of the value that family represents. I am just an intermediary here. We, as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, try to support Polish families abroad. We also, during the pandemic, we organized campaigns like Polonia for Neighbors, like helping those around you, helping the nearest and dearest, providing legal support. Families were sewing face masks together, organized courses for children. There were many initiatives, almost 200 around the globe, involving many families. The next campaign, Poland in Your Home. During the pandemic, many people could not travel, so visiting parents in Poland was impossible. There were no air connections. So Poland came to the homes of Poles abroad. Poland in Your Home, we created a website informing about the Polish culture, making it possible to visit Polish museums, showing Polish landscapes, and presenting Polish fairy tales, cartoons, or computer games. This website is still in operation.
But in the case of this award, I am only an intermediary. One person and two organizations were awarded a distinction. Mr. Marcin Filak, who lives in Ireland for his heroic involvement in care, a model of heroic support to their family members in a difficult situation, in a crisis situation. He was given by an Irish NGO the title of Caregiver of the Year. So I would like to thank on behalf of Marcin for this award, and this award will go to him through me. The organization Barge, we will associate this NGO with the homeless, and this is true. They aid the homeless persons in the Netherlands. They have supported a number of homeless Polish people, helped them to return to their country, and they also extended their activity to support families. And I would like to thank the Ministry for appreciating their activity, and also the Association of Polish Families in the Czech Republic that cultivates Polish culture, tradition, language. This is addressed at the youngest, at toddlers. Polish tune is one project that is supposed to shape the development of children and their interest in Polish songs. So thank you, Ministry, for appreciating that. On behalf of those awarded with this distinction, I would like to thank you. But I would also like to thank our participants and everyone that is involved in this award. Thank you, Minister. Just to connect the previous panel on senior citizen policy and the Polish diaspora issue. We had the National Day of Polish Diaspora on the 2nd of May, and I organized a debate on Polish senior citizens outside Poland. It turned out that Polish seniors abroad that are great ambassadors of our country are doing much, much more. They help one another, and they even help young people actively by encouraging them to, for example, to educate themselves, so that they can climb the social ladder, so to say, and in the foreign countries. So now I would like to move to the next panel on the demographics, and the leader will be Minister Maląg, and then Barbara Socha, the plenipotentiary of Polish government, Milan Krajniak, the Minister of Social Affairs in the Republic of Slovakia, and also Slovak Republic, and also the Minister of Czech Republic, Anna Malačová, and Katalin Novak, the Minister of Families in Hungary. So despite really large outlays for pro-family policy, the issue of demographics is not easy to solve. We still see not enough kids being born, and it is a fuel for criticizing such programs as 500 plus. Young people live the way they want, their own way. They choose to travel, to have adventures, and often they leave their family house only as late as at the age of 29, which makes delays starting families. But everyone declares, or they all declare, wanting to have children. So how should we really turn these declarations into reality? This is perhaps a question to Minister Katalin Novak from Hungary. Can you hear us, Minister?
Yes, I can. Thank you so much. And thank you for this interesting topic and this question. I didn't want to be too long in the first panel, so that's why I didn't really go into details about the different measures we use in our family policy. But for this reason, I will just name some of these in this panel. And these all relate to your question, because in Hungary we also experienced that the childbearing age has shifted a little bit, or not only a little bit, but quite decisively to a later stage. So that means that in Hungary, the average childbearing age of women is 30.3 years. So that means that it's much later than it used to be like 10 years ago, but it's the same for each and every country. And I would like to draw your attention to a recent study which we just did in Hungary with our research institution, which related to the knowledge about the fertile period of life of the people in general. And we experienced that young people think that they are fertile much longer than they usually are. So the knowledge about fertility is very low in Hungary. But there are international studies that also show that in average, people think that they are fertile 10 years longer than they usually are. And that makes them believe that they still have a long time to have children, and they just run out of time. So that's the problem, that we have to draw the attention to the children, to the young adults, to the fact that the fertile age hasn't changed much in the last centuries. So it means that if they want to have children, if they start it earlier, then they will have more chance to have as many children as they wish to have. So that is my statement number one. And the other one is that we see that the longer women do their studies, the less chance they have to have children in their 20s. So that means that we would like to support studying young students or young people also to be able to found a family during their university studies, for example. That is also something which we introduced just some years ago here in Hungary, to enable them to have children already at that stage of their lives. And number three is that if we see a clash between the professional and the personal life or career path, let's say, then it is much more difficult to take a decision about having children than if we try to harmonize the two kinds of interests. So that is why we are trying to intervene or give support in these areas of life. And I would just like to tell you some examples for that. So we see that it would be important that there should be no financial burdens when young couples want to have children. That is why we introduced in Hungary a so-called baby expecting subsidy. That means that if there is a married young couple where the woman is below 41 years old, then they are entitled to have a credit without an interest rate of almost 30,000 euros. So that is a general purpose credit with no interest rate that they start to reimburse. But once the first child is on the way, we postpone the reimbursement for 3 years. Once the second child comes, they don't have to pay for 3 years again, and we write off 30% of the credit. And once the third child comes, we totally write off the credit. So we completely annul the credit, let's say, so they don't have to pay back anything anymore. Basically, they can get 30,000 euros in order to be able to have a family, and they can use this 30,000 euros for anything, and they don't even have to pay it back. Number two is our family-friendly tax system, which means that the more kids you have, the less personal income tax you pay. From last year, 1st of January, mothers with at least 4 children don't pay any personal income taxes ever in their lives. And from 1st of January next year, just as in Poland, young people will also have an exemption from personal income tax paying. So that's again a new option for them. But we also have a family tax benefits or allowance system, which means that the more children you have, the more family tax allowance you can write off your personal income tax. It means that in principle or in practice as well, a couple with two working parents, where they have at least 3 children and they have an average salary, they don't pay any personal income taxes in Hungary. So that is the personal income tax scheme. Number 3 is the housing program. We have a very strong housing program. That means that if you want to buy or build a house or a flat, then your home practically, so your own property, then you are entitled to have a non-reimbursable subsidy, which means that if you want to have 3 children as a married couple, or if you are already raising at least 3 children, being a couple, married or non-married couple with common children, or even a single mom or a father, you can have again 30,000 euros in order to buy or build a house or an apartment. And if you want to renovate your house or home, then you again can get a subsidy for that reason. That is quite new. That is from 1st of January this year. And because we spoke about the elderly and we spoke about the pension system, I would like to mention to you 2 things. One is that women in Hungary are entitled to an early retirement after 40 years of work, or let's say any kind of payment. So after 40 years, they can have early retirement. That goes only for women. And number 2 is that we now introduce the possibility for grandparents to be at home with the children. So that's like a grandparental leave. If there is a working grandparent in the family and both parents work, they don't have to send the children to daycare. It is also possible. But if there is a working grandparent who is ready to take care of the child, then he or she is entitled for a grandparental leave. That is, again, quite new in Hungary from 1st of January last year. But because of the COVID, we didn't have so much experience in this area because grandparents and grandchildren couldn't really share the time with each other because of the COVID. And we have many more financial subsidies. Just one more element which I would like to underline is that many Hungarian families have credits, have mortgages. So if there is a new kid coming to the family, so new kids arrive, then they are entitled to write off part of their mortgage. So that means that if you have mortgage, if you have credits, and you as a couple decide to have more children, then it will make life easier for you with the write-off of these credits or part of these credits. So that means that in principle, we always support child bearing and child raising. And we differentiate between working and non-working people, which means that we would like to enable everybody and also push everybody to work, to take their part out of the economy or the economic growth. That means that they have to work, they have to contribute, and then they are entitled to all these family benefits. And number 2 is we support marriage. That means that once you get any benefit or you want to have any benefit based upon the planned children, then you necessarily have to be married. But once the child is there, once the child is born, it doesn't matter if you live in a married, so if you're a married couple or a non-married couple, or if you're a single mom or a father, then it's only the child who counts, and we give the support to the children. So we have many, many elements. Just as I said, 5% of our GDP goes to family support, and we increase this amount of money each and every year. Next year, we already have the budget introduced to the Parliament, and according to this plan, next year we will have 3 times as much money for family support as we used to have in 2010. So we constantly increase our commitment financially, and of course, which is very important, and you also spoke about, is this family-friendly approach. That is why I am so happy to see this award ceremony, because I think these gestures also show how important all those efforts are, which are in favor of families, not only from the governmental side, but from the family organizations, the civic society, the entrepreneurs, and also the public administration and the local administration, and the churches, of course, not to forget. So I think that we need all these in order to be able to overcome our demographic difficulties. And let me end by saying that our constantly increasing fertility rate also shows the effectiveness of these measures. It means that we have the highest increase in the fertility rate in the last 10 years, and also in the increase of marriages. It's also the highest ratio in Hungary. So we can already see the results, and we very much hope that it will remain so in the future. We can further go on to this direction. It is difficult because of the COVID a little bit right now, but we'll see how it goes further. And once again, thank you so much.
Dziękuję bardzo pani minister. Również dziękuję. Ja bym jeszcze szczerze mówiąc
Thank you,
zapytała
Minister.
panią minister, jaki to jest poziom tego
I would like to
demograficznego na
ask
Węgrzech,
you
jaki procent to
about
jest ze
the
3 czy 4?
level
Tutaj
of
usłyszeliśmy
the,
ze Słowacji, że 1,5, a w Polsce bodaj 1,7, tak?
fertility rate.
Dlaczego to pytam? Bo to są takie rozwiązania, że
big is your
zajmuję się na co
fertility
dzień
rate?
podatkami.
I am in my daily professional life. I am responsible. I deal with economy, with taxes, and I am really sort of overwhelmed by all the tax solutions that you've introduced. So, what is the birth rate currently?
So thank you so much for your comment. I'm an economist by profession myself, so that's why I'm also watching always that not only our family policy or demographic policy should be effective, but it has to go hand in hand with a successful economic policy. So the reason why I find our model exemplary is that we have a birth rate increase, and in the meantime, also an economic growth in Hungary. And related to the numbers, it used to be 1.23 in 2011. It was at the lowest that time. And now, 10 years later, we have a fertility rate of 1.55. So it is an increase by 24%. And I very much hope that this tendency will remain so.
Dziękuję bardzo, dziękuję za tę odpowiedź. Proszę Państwa.
Thank you, Madam Minister. Now I would like to ask my question to Slovakia. How do you perceive this problem of postponing childbearing? What are your perspectives?
Povedal už na úvod, u nás je to momentálne ten vek prvorodičky priemerný zhruba 28 rokov. Veľmi ma prekvapilo, že teda v Maďarsku je to ešte o 2 roky viacej. To, čo vieme preto urobiť, je podporovať najmä študentky, ktoré doteraz nie sú podporované zvýšeným rodičovským príspevkom. U nás máme 2 rodičovské príspevky zhruba do 3. roku dieťaťa. Jeden pre tie mamičky, ktoré boli sociálne poistené, to je 375 eur, a ten nižší 275 eur mesačne, približne do 3. roku života je vyplácaný, máme pre mamičky, ktoré neboli sociálne poistené.
As I mentioned in the beginning, the age of the mothers bearing the first child is approximately 28 years. I'm surprised that in Hungary it is by 2 years more. And what is our approach? We would like to support especially students, girls students, because up until now they were not able to receive the higher parental allowance for a kid under the age of 3 years. So we have in fact 2 amounts of the allowances, one for those mothers who were socially insured. They receive 375 euros And then another amount of money, which is 275, is for those mothers who have not been socially insured.
A pre študentky, najmä vysokoškoláčky, to chceme zmeniť tým, aby boli poistené štátom a tým pádom mohli poberať vyšší rodičovský príspevok. Toto je také jedno z opatrení, ktoré plánujeme urobiť.
And for the students, especially the university students, girls, we would like to make a change. It means that they will be socially insured by the state, and this allows them to receive the higher amount of the allowance.
A potom sú tie dve veci, ktoré som spomenul už na úvod, ktoré považujem za úplne kľúčové, a to je plánujeme masívnu výstavbu nájomných bytov podporovaných štátom.
And also, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is the key issue for us. We will support the massive construction of rental housing, which will be supported by the state.
Kde chceme garantovať zvýhodnené nájomné, netrhové nájomné počas celého života kohokoľvek, kto takýto nájomný byt bude užívať.
And we would like to provide a guarantee of non-market, it means reduced rental fees for the person for the lifelong living in such a rental housing for the rest of life.
Na Slovensku je pravdepodobne skoro najvyšší počet ľudí, ktorí bývajú vo vlastnom bývaní. To znamená, nájomné bývanie je prakticky nevyužívané.
We have to say that in Slovakia we have the highest number of the people with own housing. It means the rental housing is almost not in existence.
Kto býva v nájomnom byte, je to považované za čisto, povedal by som, sociálne opatrenie pre tých najchudobnejších a toto chceme zmeniť.
And those people who are living in rented housing, this has a certain social connotation of being the poorest. And we would like to change this.
Ľudia, ktorí bývajú v nájomných bytoch, dnes majú pocit, niekedy to voláme aj štartovacie bývanie, že je to nestabilné, provizorné riešenie, ktoré im neposkytuje istotu, že v tomto prostredí by mohli vychovávať deti dlhú dobu a že by mohli mať viacero detí.
Usually, when we have in mind the rental housing, it seems to be, or the impression in the society is that this is a non-stable housing, only a temporary solution. There is a lack of security for the people to be able to stay in that housing and to bring children living in such a rented house.
A preto aj páry, rodičia, ktorí chcú mať deti, odkladajú tieto deti do momentu, kým budú mať svoje vlastné bývanie vo svojom vlastníctve.
And this is the reason why also the couples who would like to have kids, they postpone this until they will acquire their own housing.
A tieto nové nájomné byty, ktoré chceme spustiť ich výstavbu tento rok, tak tam bude garantované právo na užívanie tohto nájomného bytu v podstate do konca života. Takže to bude stabilné riešenie, také, ktoré možno si ľudia v našich krajinách pamätajú ešte spred roku 1989, že byt bol síce podnikový alebo štátny, ale vedeli, že v ňom môžu bývať do konca svojho života. Tento pocit istoty chceme mladým ľuďom dať.
So this year we would like to start the construction of new rented housing with the right for the people living in such housing to stay there until the end of their life. And this is going to be a very steady solution. it reminds us the situation which was here before 1989, when there were either corporate houses or state-owned houses, but the people could stay there and live there until the end of their life.
Od tohto si sľubujeme zníženie toho veku, kedy vlastne ľudia budú pripravení najmä psychologicky a z pocitu bezpečia, že už si môžu dovoliť mať deti.
And we believe that this can help reduce the age of young people having the kids, because they will be ready from the psychological and also security point of view. Thanks.
Thanks.
Dziękujemy bardzo panu ministrowi. Słyszymy, że właściwie kolejne państwa, które już wdrożyły
We are
polityki
hearing
prodemograficzne,
that
takie
countries who
nazwijmy, to
implemented
pytanie
pro-demographic
do Czech,
policies
które
and
państwa
now
sprawdzają
over
się
to
może
Czechia.
najlepiej.
What works for you? What solutions work for you? What policies work for you?
Yeah. Hello. Firstly, I would like to apologize, Madam Minister, because she had to go to another meeting. So my name is Martina Štěpánková, and I am her deputy. So I will tell you some information about the situation in the Czech Republic. In the Czech Republic, current fertility rate is 1.7. It has increased during the last few years. For example, in 2009, the fertility rate was 1.4. So now we can see that the number is better. Even this experience with the age of women having first children, it's similar to other to our colleagues and their countries. Now the average age of women having when they have their first child is 28 and a half years. So you can see it's quite higher than it used to be in the past. Why the situation is better? We can see that usually young children born during the 90s, when they start family, they usually grew up as singles. They didn't have any siblings, and now those young people who became adult, they usually won't have more kids too, and more kids. So, and the state and the Ministry of Labor try to take measures to support them. In our opinion, what works really good is to give to those young families freedom of choice. So to decide when and how many children they want to have, and not to be pressured by economic situation of the family, and to give them the possibility to combine family and work-life balance. What the ministry has done in last few years, for example, we have made parental allowance more flexible, and we increased its amount. We also introduced 1 week of paid father's leave. We put in the law the right to a place in a kindergarten for 3-year-old children and older. So it was a big obstacle for many families, and for many families, especially in the big cities and around, it was a big problem to find a place for a children in the kindergarten. So and the situation is also becoming better. And this January, we provide a new type of flexible work arrangement, so-called job sharing. We also focused on support of child care services. As I mentioned, regarding the place in the kindergarten, but also we try to support the childcare facilities for small children, because kindergartens are usually for children who are 3 years old and older. It's also when there's a place in the kindergarten, also the child who is 2 years old can be put in the kindergarten, but we do not have facilities for children who are younger. So for us, it's important, as I said, to offer to families the choice, the freedom of choice. So if the family, father, mother decide to come back to work earlier because of different reasons, that's necessary for them to find a facility where they can put their child. So the Czech Republic introduced in 2014 child facility, which we call Children's Group. And today we have about 1,100 of those facilities with capacity of 15,000 places for children from age 1 to 6 years old. And the National Recovery Plan was already mentioned. We would also like to use a National Recovery Plan in the Czech Republic to financially support investments into construction of those facilities called Children's Group for very small children, to broaden the offer for families and to stabilize the system. So for us, those are really concrete steps done that has been done during the last few years to support families and also the birth rate. And we, as I said, we also plan to use European support, European financial support through National Recovery Plan to broaden those service for the families. Thank you.
Dziękujemy bardzo pani minister. Tutaj pojawił się jeszcze jeden ciekawy wątek dotyczący job sharingu, tak? Dotyczący elastycznych warunków zatrudnienia. To już wprawdzie nie Ministerstwo Rodziny, ale teraz Ministerstwo
This is not within the Ministry of Family, but the Ministry of Labor and Technology. Interesting topic, and still there is probably much to be done in Poland. I've recently heard about two examples worthwhile from Switzerland, when a child was born and the parent decided to work only 70% of time, and the employer had nothing against. Or a British example, quite recent, I have just remembered this, when the mother of Polish origin, a mother of Polish origin, mind you, after having a child, decided to work only weekends. And the employer was fine with that. Not just one child, more children. So such examples are very interesting and worth considering. The demographic crisis still affects us. The numbers are not very high, and Europe, that we call the old continent, is really becoming old. This is happening. The question is how much we should go beyond the group to talk about the demographic problems. Over to Madam Minister Socha. Thank you. I'm very glad that we are having another meeting devoted to the family and demographics. Based on the examples of your countries, we can see that you have a very intensive demographic policy. I believe that the most important thing is stability and comprehensive solutions. We shouldn't talk about one solution solution or one instrument, but a range of solutions that complement each other, with the resulting in a growing trend, the trend of growth in Europe. And that's what we should promote. We should be proud of that. We should be proud and say that a positive demographic policy reversing the trends is possible. In all the other European countries, maybe with the small exception of Germany, there are negative trends. This is only in our part of Europe that these are positive trends. In Poland, we are focusing on a few solutions, which I will describe briefly. The first one, which very positively affected the conditions for young families, was the extension of the maternal or parental leave. Now it's a year's leave with 80% of pay. The next thing is the Maluch Plus or the Baby Plus program, which in recent years improved the availability of nursery care. The availability of 200,000 places. This is a big number considering the population of 2 and 3 years olds. The breakthrough program was the 500 plus program, which the Prime Minister and Madam Minister mentioned. This is a direct transfer to Polish families. Studies, also the most recent study, the study from March this year, American studies regarding Scandinavia and the drops in Scandinavia, explain why in Scandinavia the drops are visible. Our systems are able to defend themselves, also thanks to the direct transfers. So we can see the growth in the birth of second and third children. And also we have labor regulations which effectively and realistically protect mothers during pregnancy and during the maternity leave, and also when they are coming back to work. These are the key foundations of our pro-family system when we talk about fertility rate. And what remains a barrier, what is our main challenge and the priority for the nearest future are the housing policy solutions. We can see that they effectively support the fertility rate both in Hungary and in the other countries. And another challenge is work. I was glad to hear about the Czech experiences connected with shared jobs. We are looking at the Polish labor market, and it is in a very good condition in spite of the pandemic, and I believe that this is a good moment for implementing certain solutions that will support flexible working for parents. One of the few, or if not the only positive result of the pandemic is a new habit that we have developed, like flexible working, remote working, hybrid working, or partly hybrid, or working part-time. This is something that before was not widespread in Poland for various reasons. For income-related reasons, first of all, like working part-time, but this is actually connected with biggest tensions. We, as women in Poland, we can either choose between working full-time or resigning from work. I believe it's a high time to change this practice, to reverse it, maybe to follow in the Czech footsteps. Care, a very big area, like care for the young children under 3.
Care over children up to the age of 3 years old with our program Toddler Plus and development of the pre-care system. We've done something already, but we want to take a closer look at those families that do not use nurseries, do not use kindergartens, and perhaps give the parents a choice. Parents in Poland have very different preferences when it comes to taking care of their children, and it's very important to respond to all these types of preferences. And the issue of health, what Minister Nowak said in the beginning, that young people have this conviction that their fertility is going to last for a very long time. This is a huge problem, and we want to introduce a solution, building awareness. We have the entire program of health prophylaxis, of health prevention. Fertility is one of the health factors necessary for children to be born, but also a general good health condition is necessary. It turns out that women who perceive their health condition as weak, as not insufficient, they are hesitant towards childbearing. So all the health programs that the Ministry of Health is planning are important, and also programs of treatment of infertility are also important. Yes, Minister mentioned the issue of 1 year leave. Poland is looked at as a country that has quite good conditions in terms of a parental leave, but perhaps we should, perhaps the parental leave could be shared with, I don't know, with grandparents. Perhaps some part of the leave could be used by grandparents. Just an idea. We surely have shown the importance of demographic crisis. The question is really simple: what to do next? And I would like to, in the V4 group, to develop this program. I would like to address it to Minister Malong. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of our V4 group, we will continue to act. We will show Europe the importance of investing in family. It is important to meet also in working groups. It would be good to create working groups between our meetings. So a working group that is related to demographic policy. We will have Minister Socha to direct it on our part, and Minister Stanisław Szwed to lead the senior citizens group. So the strength of our 4 countries should show the European Union that it is important to invest in family life, because our example of our countries shows that it is possible to reverse negative demographic trends, but it's not a matter of one political term, it's a matter of decades. The wasted years make all the solutions that we've just introduced result in a situation where we leave the demographic trap, but we still have a lot to do. And as I mentioned, in the Polish system, we are going to have new solutions, perhaps similar to yours. So we would like to declare and propose our common declaration of collaboration to show the rest of Europe that family is really important, that it is important, this power, it is, and perhaps initiate common research around family so that we are able to compare the different solutions and situations. So I think that we're going to hold another meeting really soon. We feel invited to the demographic summit because demographic is a challenge to us all. Thank you, Minister. Yes, it is true that now it's the time to sign the common declaration. Some of the words of the declaration are that there is a direct relation between the general condition of families and competences, the needs of consumers, the state of the economy. The family is treasure, and that's how it should be perceived and treated. The signatories also highlight that as part of V4 group, we consider the policy, the common research that would produce results that could be used to support and improve the welfare of families. Some of the this was a citation from a declaration, and now I would like to ask Minister Milan Krajniak, the Minister of Labor, Social Affairs and Family of the Republic of Slovakia, to sign the declaration. Great. And now Jana Malacova, the Minister of Labor and Social Affairs of the Czech Republic. Thank you. And now Katalin Nowak, the Minister of Families, Hungary. Thank you, Minister. And now I would ask Marlena Marlong, Polish Minister of Family, Labor and Social Affairs. Thank you, Minister. And I would give the floor now to the Minister to conclude this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, ministers, I think a lot has been said about family during our meeting. It was surely the center of our attention. Our state's attempt to reverse the demographic trend, to restore dignity to the family, and we want to continue our measures for families with young children and for intergenerational solidarity. And I hope that next meeting will be in another reality. It will be a real physical meeting, so that we could share opinions in also informally. So now I would like to thank you for your participation. Thank you for all the guests for participating.